and we'll go straight to Keith Downey at Sky Sports.
Morning, Steve.
Morning, Keith.
Just firstly, I know you probably want to look at it too much. Just briefly on the weekend there. I guess the mood's changed somewhat with the performance. How's everyone feeling today and since?
Well, of course, today's another day, and we have to start getting prepared for the cup tie tomorrow. So, look, there's no fluffing it over. We are totally disappointed of what happened at the game at the weekend. You know, we got off to an awful start, and one of them really difficult, awful afternoons with the performance-wise. So the only way you can get that put right is another game is on the horizon tomorrow. We then go to Spurs on Sunday and another cup tie possibly in the week. So we have to try and get on with the job in hand and make sure that we improve, which won't be difficult in the games ahead.
Were you surprised as to how quickly the players could go from one level to another in such a short space?
Yeah. I mean, look, we got off to a dreadful start, and in the Premier League in particular, you go chasing it after that, leave yourself open and leave yourself vulnerable. And let's be fair, you know, when you analyse the whole situation, you know, we all, and when I say we, you know, were totally disappointed in the individual performance and the team performance too. It was nowhere near the level of what's required in the Premier League. And so we're aware of it. We've played poorly. We have to respond. In the past, we've responded, and I'm sure we will again.
I know you've been pleased with the transfer business that you've done so far in this window. Does the performance on Sunday make you reassess what you need to do?
No, I mean, look, I've been very, very pleased of what we've done. We had a really, really good performance a week ago. Mm-hmm. So, look, we have to repair the damage and get ready, because that's the way the club is. You know, there's other teams played poorly and don't get the sensational headlines that we get, but that's what we have to deal with, and have to accept that. Look, we were nowhere near good enough. Hold your hands up, roll your sleeves up, and let's get on with it again, and get through the next round of the cup.
You just touched on that there, Steve. How difficult is it for you as a manager, and I suppose for the players as well, having to deal with the highs and the lows of maybe the headlines and maybe what the supporters expect?
Yeah, but you know the way the Premier League is now, so we're not alone in it. Everything, especially these days, everything's broadcast. Everybody's there laid bare for everybody to see. And look, you have to admit that when you didn't play well enough, and when you look and analyse it, we were nowhere near, as I just said to you, Keith, to the level of where we were the week before. And there's the disappointing thing. That sort of inconsistency is something we have to eradicate, and that's what we'll work on if we possibly can.
How are the two boys who got injured on Sunday, St Maximin and Lewis?
St Maximin had a scan on his ankle. He tweaked it and twisted it. We don't think it's that bad. I've just seen him this morning. I don't think he'll make tomorrow night, but he's got a chance maybe for Sunday. Okay. And young Jamal, unfortunately, as you know, got a horrible kick to his face where we were worried actually at once about his eye, but that seems to be okay. His eye is completely closed now and got a cut above it. So he won't be involved tomorrow, but thankfully, there's no real lasting damage to it.
And you went. I mean, I think you pretty much changed the whole team against Blackburn last week. Will it be along similar lines for this one?
Yeah.
Just, are you seeing this as an opportunity?
I'm not going to tell you. No, we will put the strong team out, and there's people who desperately need to play. And look, yeah. we could have 7 games in the first 3 weeks of the season. And you know, I was watching the game last night and see a player pull up after a minute, 2 minutes. I think we'll see a lot of that. We're asking the players to do a hell of a lot, you know, in a short period of time after a lockdown and lack of pre-season, blah blah blah. You know, we'll pick up, I'm sure. So the game management of a few is going to be critical. But we will certainly make changes, yes.
I guess that's you having to manage the situation differently, because when you came in last season, you played strong as you could in most cup matches. But is this just purely down to the situation with the amount of games that you're playing?
No, I think we all have to look at the situation
Yeah.
have a bit of change and have a bit of rotation. And of course, now we've got a squad of players where we're able to pick a different 11 if we like. So I will pick a team which I hope is going to be strong enough and good enough to get us into the next round. And that's always going to be my philosophy.
Just last one from me, Steve. I asked you about a couple of weeks ago about the players taking the knee. I think you said, it's their decision. They'll meet about the day before the game. Les Ferdinand, of course, former Newcastle striker, said before the QPR Cup intro game that the players weren't going to do it because they wanted to see positive action now, rather than it just being a gimmick. What is your feeling as Newcastle manager, and will your players continue to do it? Do you know?
Well, I mean, I have a consultation with Jamal, the captain, often about it, and I can understand. The NHS, for example, we applauded them every Thursday at 8:00 for weeks and weeks and weeks until somebody decided that it run its course. And look, if we take the knee, then it's not a problem for me personally at all. But I understand where Les is from. It's a gesture we're making. But are we really seeing any big progress? There's the big question. It's a bit political for me, Keith, I have to tell you. But I think that is the real stuff that we need to make inroads towards improvement, and that's right across the globe, if you like. And so I'll keep talking with me captain and seeing what the mood of the players is and what they see is right. But I do think the gesture has been made by the Premier League and the players, and we need action to take. So I fully support Les and what he's come out with.
Thanks, Keith. Going to go to Jeff Brown, BBC Look North.
On Steve.
Morning, Jeff.
You're checking to hear me all right. Steve, I mean, every team's going to miss their fans, but it's long been said, how big an impact a full St James's Park has. Are you? How much do you miss the fans, and are you missing them more than most? Because the home record's not been great since lockdown.
Yeah. Well, for me, Jeff, there's no advantage to playing at home or away. There's absolutely none. And in the past, certainly me coming and playing at St James's Park, or when you come up here, you know how difficult it's going to be with 50-odd thousand roaring at you. So yes, I take your point that we have missed them, and probably missed them more than most when you look at our record of late. But look, it's all unprecedented where we are. The end of the season was not real. For me now, it's still got a touch of difficulty amongst it. It's a big empty stadium at St James's. There's no intimidation at all for the visitors. But then again, I suppose Old Trafford, Anfield, these big, huge stadiums where it's notoriously difficult to go and play against them because of what the impact of the crowd has. But I suppose every manager is missing the home support.
This competition as well. I mean, normally spread out over a season. Now it's incredibly compacted. I mean, normally you want a cup run, but is it a good thing?
Well, I think we are asking far too much. I mean, where we're going to be at Christmas, I think that's the big concern of all of us. We're all in unprecedented times because of the condensation of the season. I seen the player limp off yesterday for Wolves after a minute. When they're having to make a change, and you just think that is going to be probably more often than not. I looked at Spurs' schedule this week and thought, wow, to go and ask them to play Sunday after they played Thursday, then Sunday, then Tuesday, then Thursday, then Sunday. Let's be honest, it's totally ridiculous. So it's what we have to do. We understand that, but it's going to be very, very difficult to manage it because it's all different. So we'll try our best and see what we can do.
And yet you've got actually not a bad, Morecambe away and then Newport or Watford in the next round. There is an opportunity for you there to make progress. Yeah.
At this particular moment, we've got 2 or 3 who are injured and they're on their way back, hopefully. So I can rotate the squad, and we've got a squad big enough. Whatever team I pick out tomorrow, then I hope we're good enough to get through the next round. That's always been my philosophy, and I'll continue on with that.
And it is still a priority, a cup, is it?
Of course. Even though a cup final even wasn't the same without the supporters in that one, but there you go. We'll try our best.
Cheers.
Thanks, Jeff. Chris Conway, ITV Tyne-Tees.
Morning, Steve.
Morning, Chris.
Just looking at the last round, obviously, I think Andy Carroll was sort of called away, wasn't he? Because his wife had a baby.
Yeah.
At the last minute. So Joe Linton led the line. Have you got a decision to make, between those two for this game?
Well, the good thing about any squad of players is not just Andy Carroll or Joe Linton or whoever. Then I've got a decision to make. That's part and parcel of. And let's be honest, I got the decision wrong at the weekend because we got beaten, which is normal. If you pick a team and you get beaten, it's the manager's fault. It's quite simple as that. And so I've got competition everywhere across the pitch, and that can only be a good thing. So my thoughts are just on, can I pick a team which is going to be fresh enough and fit enough to go and beat Morecambe, which is never going to be easy. I know they had a difficult result of the weekend, but it's never going to be easy in the cup competitions, as we know.
You talk about their results at the weekend. You've obviously had them watched, so you know what they're about and how they play.
Yeah, we certainly know how they play and what they do. And as I said, they've had a disappointing weekend as what we've had. But let's be fair, it's their cup final. Their lads will be absolutely chomping at the bit to play against a big Premier League team, and that's the way it's always been. And we know in this country how difficult it is. So we'll pick a team that I hope is going to be big enough and strong enough and fit enough to go and make sure we get a result.
I know there was some talk last week about the fact that, clubs in the Football League now are not routinely testing for COVID, and that some of the bigger clubs, the likes of yourselves, were paying for COVID tests, and you weren't sure how that was going to work. Is there any more clarification on that?
Well, listen, I know in the Premier League, I know what gives everybody solace is that we've been tested in our environment here. There's 90, 100 of us tested twice a week. And I think everybody is secure that you are working in an environment where there's no virus here. Now, me personally think that should be across the board in the Football League too. However, I'm aware of also the cost of these testing kits and all the rest of it. So it's a difficult situation, and now it's been highlighted, of course, of what's happened with Leyton Orient and Spurs. It'll be interesting to see if the game is cancelled or where it's not cancelled or what's going to be happening. But we can only be governed by the Premier League and the Football League. And of course, going to Morecambe where maybe they're not tested, but all the evidence is pointing towards that the way the Premier League and the Football League see it is actually on the pitch. When you're on the pitch, it's very, very difficult to transmit any disease. So it's in stadiums and places like that. So we'll do our best to make sure that we try and stay safe.
So just to clarify on that, Steve, the club haven't asked for Morecambe to have their players tested in the run up to this match.
No,
right, okay. Just because obviously the Northwest has a higher rate.
As does the Northeast, chap.
Yeah, of course.
No.
There was the news this morning from Michael Gove that the test pilot for fans back in the stadium had been, or is going to be paused. That must feel like a big blow as a manager.
Yeah. Well, I think we certainly have been affected. But then I look again at all the results, and when you see the number of away victories now, there's no difference between playing away or at home or playing in the training ground, if you like. There's no advantage, and certainly I think we have suffered where our home record in particular stacked up, before the lockdown, and unfortunately, whether that's had an impact, I ain't too sure, but I know for a fact that it's far easier coming to an empty St James's than a full one to play against us. So, it's disappointing, really, really disappointing, because we would all love to see the supporters back. And as I keep saying, if we ever thought that it's not a game for the supporters anymore, then we just have to witness what we've witnessed over the last 3-4 months. It's totally and utterly different without them. It's not the spectacle that I believe that it is. You know, you get a full St James's Park and you get a cracking game. It's what it is at the moment. At the moment, it seems like a false dawn, if you like. But I suppose it's better than nothing. But I think we've suffered more than most.
Last one from me, Steve. This is a unusual world that we're living in. You know, there's so much uncertainty. How are you and the players coping in terms of anxieties and apprehension?
Well, I think we're like everybody else, you know. And look, I've said it many, many times. How lucky are we? You know, until last week, we're getting tested twice a week. So there's a certain sense of security in that the actual people who are in the training ground, whether it's the groundsman or the chef or the pressmen or whatever, we're all tested, you know. And when we've seen the results over the last 4 months in particular, then it's been successful that way, because obviously it enables. There was a few cases after the players staff had been away, i.e. on holiday or outside the secure bubble, if that's what you want to call it. But, you know, overall, it's like everybody else, you know, and especially now in the Northeast where, you know, we all seem to have it tough. And you know, for 2.5 million to have the problems that we're having, then we've just got to abide by the rules and stay with it as best as like everybody else can.
Okay, thanks, broadcasters. If you could leave the call now, written titles, if you can use the raise hand function, we'll be back with you in just a moment. Thanks.